it's me. Today I'm going to have story time, and I'm going to tell you about something that took place actually to me in, I think, around the beginning of 2014. I could be mistaken, but I think that's when it was. But anyway, early part of 2014, when me and my husband were still together, um, we were living in North Carolina, and me and him and my two children, we decided to get away for a weekend and go like to the next town over and stay at the Best Western. Now, when we got there, we happened to have been with a couple of friends of ours, another couple, and me, him, my children, and the other couple were right across the street at the Waffle House. Now, what we did was, the friends of ours lived like right up the street. So me and my two kids went over across the street to the Best Western to check in. Now at that hotel, you had to have, the money, and you had to have your ID and another form of ID. I had like a charge card that you can get at Walmart or somewhere, and that was my form of identification. Now the room that night was a little over $100. So I had, no, wait a minute, I'm mistaken. The total came to almost $100. So me and the kids went over there. We were going to pay for our room, go ahead and get in it, and then my husband would be back shortly. The friends would bring him. So I go to the counter, I pay with a $100 bill. That's the important key. I paid cash, and I gave her the $100 bill, and I mean, it literally came to like right at $100, so I really wouldn't be getting any change back. So anyhow, I gave her the $100 bill, I showed her my ID, I showed her my other form of ID. We got the room. Of course, you know how you'll get the slip, the receipt, and you sign your name? Well, that ended up being my mistake. Okay, so we pay for our room, me and the kids go to the room, and then shortly my husband comes. All right, so the next day we leave and all that. Well, months go by. Okay, I'd say about maybe 3, 4, 5 months later, me, him, and the kids decide to go back and stay at the Best Western. Now, the thing was, we enjoy getting away once in a while, and we really liked the Best Western, so we go back. Well, the deal was, I think if you stayed like a few nights in a row, either consecutive or here and there, then you could get a free night. Well, so we're told this. We kind of actually got to know the manager of the hotel, and we were speaking with her, and she said, well, let me go check and see if, you're available for a free night. Well, she did. She came back to us with a piece of paper. It was a receipt. And lo and behold, this receipt had my name written, my signature on the receipt. And she said, now, I see that you paid with a credit card. I said, whoa. That's not right. I paid with cash. Never once have I paid with a credit card at this hotel, or any other hotel for that matter. So she comes back and she's showing it to me. I said, yeah, that's my signature. Well, unbeknownst to me, at the very top of that paper is another name other than mine, a credit card account. And so, long story longer, what happened was, the night that I went there the first time with my kids and my husband came later, the woman at the register took my money, pocketed it, and looked on the computer, saw that there was another person that had stayed there with a credit card account for the hotel under the name of somebody with the same last name as me. And so what she did was, she pocketed my $100 bill and charged it to the other person with the last name of Elks onto the computer. So later we find out that she had been fired for doing that other times. So anyway, we fix all that at the hotel. A few more months goes by. Me and my husband and the kids, we're on the way home. We just hit Havelock, and we have a flat tire. So we get the vehicle off the road, and at that point in time, the kids are sick. They're actually both sick. We're having a rough time, already, and we have a flat tire. All of a sudden, here comes a police officer. He pulls up to us and he's like, are you okay? You have to get it more so off the road, call someone to pick you up or whatever, because it was kind of late. We were coming from our family's house. So anyway, we're sitting there in the vehicle, and the police officer decides to come back. And he says, well, he had already gotten our information, my ID and all that. He goes to his car, comes back. Ma'am, are you Christina Elks? I said, yes. Well, ma'am, you're going to have to come with me. There's a warrant for your arrest. Let me make this part clear. I have never in my life done anything wrong. I've had a couple of speeding tickets, but that was when I was a kid. So he's like, yeah, there's a warrant for your arrest. I'm shocked. I'm a really good girl. I do not break the law. I don't steal, never have stole, never shoplifted, never hurt anybody, never done anything like that. So I'm in shock. I'm in shock that there is a warrant out for my arrest. So he says, ma'am, yes, you have to come with me. Well, we were already freaking out because when we were sitting there, he was at his car for a long time. And we're like, oh my goodness. And my husband's like, well, something's not right because he's been back there a long time. And so they ended up having to have a female police officer come, and she didn't search me or nothing. She like patted me down and everything. And let me tell you, let me make this point very strong. I am so incredibly upset, don't know what to do. I said, sir, I have never in my life had a warrant for my arrest. I've never been in trouble, never done anything wrong. What in the world is this for? Well, ma'am, sorry, my camera's falling. He said, well, ma'am, you're going to have to come with me, and you can figure it out then. So at this time, I mean, we're on the side of the road. If anybody knows James City area in North Carolina, then it's a very, very busy highway. It's the highway right after you get off the 4-lane. Yes. And people are looking around everywhere. It's like midnight. My kids are sick. They're in the car. They're watching all this take place, crying their heads off. And my husband is like, you can't do this. You can't take her. She hasn't done nothing wrong, blah, blah, blah. And then he says, well, no, she's going to have to come with me. You can come down there. You can talk to the magistrate, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I'm in the backseat of the police car, and I go to the New Bern Police Department, and I go in there, and they do my fingerprints. Never had that done before. Scared to death, but I didn't cry. I never cried. I was just very upset, very angry. And at this point, I'm angry at my husband, which is probably the 60 billionth time I've been angry with him. Sorry. But anyway, he comes immediately. He gets somebody to give him a ride. A girlfriend of mine is taking care of the kids. She's like my big sister. So my husband comes down to the police station. Come to find out, if it had not been the magistrate that was there, that particular one, they said that I could have signed myself out and handled it later. But they say this particular magistrate was a snob, a rude person, and something like, nope. They gave me a $5,000 bond. All I did was sit there at the front desk, and waited because the bail bondsman called and said, you know what? Her husband is called me, told me the information. I'm coming to meet him. Don't change her out. Just let her sit there and wait. So I did. But I'm gonna tell you, I was more embarrassed and shocked than anything else because I've never done anything wrong to be arrested for. Okay, so at this point, I still don't know what I've been arrested for. I'm like, this is so gotta be a mistake. Well, then they tell me what my charges are. Fraud and, what was it? One was fraud. There was 2 different charges. One was fraud and one was stolen credit card. So eventually, my husband comes and gets me out. And my girlfriend I was telling you about is there with him. And as soon as I saw the 2 of them, I cried into my friend's chest. I was so upset. That's when I broke down. But anyway, I was embarrassed. I was scared to tell my family, embarrassed to tell anyone. But I finally figured out what it was. The police happened to have been called by somebody at that hotel and said that the reason that my name was signed to the receipt with someone else with the same last name, but come to find out, the person who had the credit card account on there happened to have been someone in my family on my husband's side. So she's like, she vouched for me. Oh no, she wouldn't have stolen my credit card. No, blah, 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 blah. Well, I don't know exactly how it came that there was a warrant for my arrest, but something along the lines of I had supposedly stolen this girl's credit card. I'm not going to say any names, but I had stolen this girl's credit card. I had there were so many different things. I had stolen the credit card. I had bribed the clerk behind the counter at the hotel. I had done this and this and this, and I'm like, you're joking me. Well, we got a lawyer, one in New Bern, supposedly a good lawyer. Well, this hung over my head for 2 years. Hung over my head for 2 years, and maybe about 6 to 8 months ago. Of course, I'm in Florida at the time, and I'm called 2 days after Christmas. I had just come home from Christmas vacation from my parents in Florida, in North Carolina, come back to Florida, get the call, you need to come back to North Carolina for your court date. So that was 2 days after I'd already come back. So then I went back, and so what happened was my lawyer was like speaking to the district attorney and said, look, she's willing to pay. They said that I could have went to and got a jury trial and all that, and he was like, well, you got to be careful because you've got to convince 12 different people that you didn't do this. So what I ended up doing was pled no contest, and the judge said, well, my lawyer was like, well, she's never done anything wrong, never been in trouble, never been in jail, never been arrested. Her husband and her were just in a bad situation, and this happened like it did. The woman, I don't know if anything ever happened to the clerk. I know she was fired for doing this to other people, but I ended up having to pay out over $1,000 to get this off of me. And the judge said, okay, well, I'll give you unsupervised probation. And at that point, like I said, I've never done anything wrong, so I don't even know what that means. Am I on probation, but it's unsupervised? But from what the lawyer told me, you're good. Go back to Florida if you want. Live a happy life. Don't get in any trouble. But supposedly, I guess what that means is if I'm caught doing anything else, then I'm immediately in trouble because unsupervised probation, I guess if I'm caught doing something wrong, I could be on probation or go to jail. I don't know. But anyway, this whole situation was very scary. It was held over my head for 2 years. I didn't even finally go to court with it till 2 years after it took place. But that is my little story of being arrested for something that I didn't do. But anyway, if you hear this, if you have any similar situations or things that's happened to you that was not your fault, and it just was held over you like this for a long time, please leave a comment and let me know what that was. All right, I'll see y'all later. Bye.